Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm back today with another video because today I wanted to talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and one of my favorite players from when I was growing up, Derrick Rose. Now, obviously, the Grizzlies are at a little bit of a disadvantage going into this upcoming season because they're going to be missing Ja Morant and Brandon Clarke at the start of the season. Ja Morant is suspended for 25 games for reasons, and Brandon Clarke is still tending to an injury. I'm not sure how long he'll be out, but we'll know he won't be ready for the start of the season, hopefully sooner than later for the Grizzlies' sake. Now, historically, the Grizzlies have been pretty good when Ja Morant's not in the lineup. They've been able to still be a good team even without their best player, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how much of that was due to Tyus Jones being on the team. Tyus Jones has garnered a reputation of being the best backup point guard in the league. He doesn't turn over the ball. He's not necessarily creating baskets for himself, but he can score in the flow of the offense. He's setting up his teammates and kind of lets them do what they do to the best of their abilities. Now, obviously, they've lost Tyus Jones. They traded him to the Wizards, but they've brought in Marcus Smart. And I think that's an interesting flip to go from Tyus Jones to Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart's bringing in more on defense. They also lost Dillon Brooks, so Smart will make up some of that defensive loss there. But on offense, Marcus Smart is more of a, it's a little bit more mayhem and chaos than Tyus Jones brings. There's going to be more turnovers. He's going to try to create his own shot more, and it might not always be good. It won't be as bad as Dillon Brooks trying to create his own shot, but it's just a different kind of player. But one thing that I was actually going to kind of make a joke video about how Derrick Rose being the savior of the Grizzlies. After watching their first preseason game, I started to believe it a little bit. Not too much, obviously. I'm not that crazy. But I do think Derrick Rose is going to end up playing a fairly sizable role for the Grizzlies, at least in this first 25 games when they're waiting for Ja Morant to come back. Now, if you watched the first preseason game with Derrick Rose, you would have seen him. He looked comfortable handling the ball. I mean, he always has, but he was a good finisher. He made some nice plays, setting up Steven Adams for a roll to the basket. And I think he'll be just a really good backup point guard to Marcus Smart. Maybe he'll even start a few games. I think this will be a good season for Derrick Rose fans. I know there was a lot of excitement about him coming back to form in Minnesota and then Detroit. He kind of tapered off in New York. I think that might have been largely due to Thibodeau not giving him the minutes, which is ironic because, on the Bulls, Thibodeau would never take him out of the game. The only player he left in more was probably Luol Deng. But I think this could be a really interesting year for Derrick Rose. He's not going to be an all-star. He's not going to do all that. But I think at least for this first, a little over quarter of a season, 25 games or so, he'll be an interesting six-man guy coming in, maybe getting 14, 15 points off the bench. I think that could be doable, and I think it could be interesting. Maybe we'll see that he's just a little too old and not really built to do that anymore. Unfortunately, that might be the truth, but I think this is a good situation for him to show what he has left in the tank. Now, the Grizzlies, I think they'll be able to hold it down without Ja Morant. I don't think they'll be as good as they have been in the past without Ja Morant. Tyus Jones, again, I think he was good for them. I don't think it's too big of a loss considering Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose. Also, Brandon Clarke being out for I don't know how long will affect the team. But Jaren Jackson Jr. and Desmond Bane are two very good players. I think Desmond Bane, he has a chance of being an all-star this season. I think especially without Ja in the first 25 games, he could get off to a really good start, putting up some big scoring numbers, and then hopefully the team success is at least kind of there. And then when Ja comes back, we'll see how they figure that out. But I think this could be a year to pick Desmond Bane as an all-star, given what will probably be the most scoring opportunity he's gotten. And I think he scored 24 a game last season, maybe? Maybe I should look that up. That's my bad. 21, not 24. I don't know. I was tripping. That's my bad. And Jaren Jackson, good offensive player, great defensive player of the year, obviously, last year. I think with those two guys, they'll be a decent enough core with the pieces around them like Luke Kennard, Marcus Smart, Derrick Rose, Steven Adams. I think they'll be able to at least play around 500 basketball until Ja Morant comes back. And then how long it'll take them to get back into form and putting Ja Morant into the lineup after that, we'll just have to wait and see, but I think they'll be a pretty good team. I think it will be a step back for them in the standings. They've been one of the top teams the last 2 years. I think we could see them more around the 6, 7, probably 7 seed. I'm thinking 7, 8. But also, we have to keep in mind that this is a really competitive Western Conference, and it might be lower win totals for these teams than you're expecting, but the separation, I think, between like the 4th seed and the 8th seed or even 10th seed will not be that many games. So I think there's a lot of volatility in these standings. Teams could easily slide from 4 to 10 to 10 to 8. So I'm guessing the Grizzlies will end up somewhere around 6 or 7. I'm going to say 7. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're higher or even lower given the circumstances of this season. But overall, I think it's an exciting year for Memphis because even though Ja Morant's missing some time, I think there's value in getting to see players play in bigger roles than they're used to. I think there's value in Desmond Bane getting this expanded offensive role, presumably. Same with Jaren Jackson, not having to defer to Ja Morant as much, letting them kind of work on their game, getting to see a player like Derrick Rose, put up some baskets like the good old days. What's his name? Luke Kennard. Seeing Luke Kennard put up some shots, I think, is good. Great offensive player, I think. We'll see how his defense is. I think as good as defense Luke Kennard plays will determine, how much minutes he plays. They do have Desmond Bane, though, so he's kind of in the way. But Luke Kennard is such a good shooter. If he can play even okay defense, I don't think there's a reason that he should be out of the lineup all that much. But overall, I'm excited to see what the Grizzlies can do. I think they'll be around the 7th seed in the West. I don't think they'll have too much success in the playoffs. Maybe they can get out of the first round. I'm not counting on that this season. I think maybe next season will be their year. There's a few young guys to keep an eye on. Can Zaire Williams make a step? I'm not too high on him. Not really too high on Jake LaRavia either, but we'll just have to wait and see. Let me know what you guys think about the Grizzlies down in the comments below. Maybe leave a like on the video if you did, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Peace.